It's that time of year again, folks. The NFL season is back, and that means it's time for Two for Two, the sports podcast that covers all the latest news and analysis on the NFL and the NBA. I know it's been a while, but I'm your host, Quis, and I'm back here with a very special co-host. Those of y'all that know him. If you don't, you'll get to know him very, very soon. It's my co-host, Nelly. We both lifelong sports fans. We're excited to bring you our own unique perspective on the game as well as the culture. On this week's episode, we're going to talk about the NFL offseason, and we're going to dive right into our series of NFL divisional breakdowns. So whether you're a diehard fan or you're just here to listen, be sure to tune in for Two for Two, and we got you covered. It's Two for Two. It's for the culture by voices of the culture. So Nelly, go ahead and introduce yourself to the people first off. You know what I'm saying? We want you to get well acclimated. We want the people to get well acclimated with you. So go ahead and introduce yourself. Let the people know who you are, where you're from.
And, Two for Two. The new home, Darnell Turner up in the building. Thank you, Keith. You and Walt, y'all been doing y'all thing on here. 2 for 2, big fan. But I'm coming in to spice it up a little bit. Shout out to Walt for letting me take his spot and being that 2 for 2.
Yeah, definitely. And so for those you don't know, Walt, he was with me. Walt was quarterbacking this thing for a while. He's still around. You'll still see him pop in from episode to episode, but he moved into a little bit more of a producer role. So the man with the plan is still here and full effect. And me and Nelly, we got this thing. We're gonna hold it down for you. Those you don't know, me and Nell, we've had a couple good debates actually on 2 for 2. We've debated off camera, off air. So hopefully we can keep this entertaining.
I'm always winning. Always.
If you see his hat,
every single one.
You see his
man's a Knicks fan. The man's a Knicks fan. So I win every time automatically.
He's already starting off. So this is what you can see. The direction, we back season 3. It's been a little while. I know it's a little hiatus. A lot of you all miss us. We miss you all. We had to get Nell on here to keep it fresh, So we're trying to, keep things rolling. We're going to really dive in, episode to episode. Starting off, we're going to look at a lot of the divisions. And then we'll go from there as the season goes on, coming back to NBA season where we can talk a lot about how the Knicks, continue to, upset the Sixers. But that's not for today. So, the first thing that we're going to dive into today, folks, we're going to talk about the NFL offseason. And that's highlighted by running back drama. As we can see in today's NFL, it's a big, big thing. The NFL running backs, they've been devalued, and it's just gotten worse and worse over time. The days of having, great backs that carry the workload and that you pay them and they're the center of your team is kind of trending in the opposite direction. We got a lot of guys like a first-team All-Pro running back Josh Jacobs. We got another Pro Bowler, Saquon Barkley, Tony Pollard, who had a great season this year with Nell's Cowboys. He got a franchise tag, and we don't know what's going to go on with that long-term deal. We also got some other former Pro Bowlers, Dalvin Cook, Zeke, playoff Lenny, that are currently free agents without a home. And we just see a lot going on right now with the NFL running back position. It's really in flux. Austin Eckler held a meeting, and a lot of the top guys talked about it. And a lot of backlash came from that. A lot of people were talking about it, and it's still no solution. We look at the average NFL running back salary, and it's less than the average salary of every position minus your punter and your long snapper. Yes, that would include kickers making more money on average than the running back position. If you don't believe me, you can do your research. Spot Track is available. So Nell, I'm asking you, my man, do you think this is fair for the running back position to be, valued where it is, or is it foul? Do you think there's a solution? Or is it we see this running back by committee thing is starting to really formulate? Is that the way? Are we out of the bell cow era of football? Is it more who can get in and just move the chains, or what do you think, man?
Yeah, to your question, about whether these running backs are devalued or not, and what should we do about it? I don't know if there's really anything you can do. It's definitely it's not fair, but it's just the situation that the running backs in that position are in right now. There's a lot of running backs that are pretty much the offense for their teams. You talked about Derrick Henry, Saquon, Josh Jacobs led the league in rushing last year. Tony Pollard was a huge reason for the Cowboys' success. So these guys are are valuable in what they bring to these offenses, but it's tough because we've seen quarterbacks, unfortunately, like my guy Zeke, who, once they get that big contract after 3-4 years of elite production on the field, it just kind of starts to slowly decline. And that's what happened with Zeke. His production was just dropping year after year. And that cap hit, it really didn't let the Cowboys get better at, certain positions. So they ended up having to cut him. And even with McCaffrey, he missed a lot of games after he got his extension with the Panthers, only played 10 out of 33 games that he had with the Panthers until he was traded. So, it's I get it from a business side, looking at it like, well, every time we're paying these running backs a little, obviously it's earlier than most players' primes, but you're paying these quarterbacks, after 3-4 years, it's rare. It's getting a lot more rare that you're seeing the level of production that you got in those first 3 to 4 years.
Yeah, absolutely. And you brought up some really big names, Christian McCaffrey, Derrick Henry, Saquon, those are guys that are, I mean, to some, those that's the entire offense. For a while, in the league, they always say running back is a quarterback's best friend. Run game is a quarterback's best friend, and you have guys that are, putting, they're producing, but like you said, I mean, it's hard to kind of, gauge what to pay them because the running back shelf life is it's a lot smaller than say that of a quarterback or offensive lineman. And it's crazy to think a lot of people, something that somebody brought up that I was listening to, they were talking about just how like running backs and football have been playing a lot of football. They get a lot of carries on their bodies, guys that are they're the bell cow in college football. I think about my favorite team, Michigan. Michigan runs the ball about 40 times a game. Guys like Blake Corum, Donovan Edwards are great backs, but what's going to be their value as they move forward in their careers, because you might see that's a lot of carries, and so I think when you look at running backs now, we see a lot of guys that can come on and they're late round picks. We don't see many guys going first round. So to the point of is the running back by committee thing, do you think that's legit? Your Cowboys are moving into that direction. My Bucks also moving into that correction. We both in that direction, excuse me. We both let our starters walk. As you touched on Zeke, I talked about playoff Lenny, and now we got, guys got Tony Pollard, Deuce Vaughn, Ronald Jones, those guys. And on the Bucks front, we got, Rashad White, Keyshawn Vaughn, Sean Tucker, a couple, just running backs by committee, guys that we don't know yet. So how do you feel about that now? Do you think that's something that can work for your team? Do you think that can work for other teams? Or do you think it's one of those deals where the running back guys that are, the top guys, they just kind of got to accept they might not get paid and, just deal with it?
Yeah, I think that's definitely something you're going to see more and more throughout the NFL in the years to come. Like you said, it's just tough to pay these running backs, especially when you got teams out here that are winning Super Bowls without, a big chunk of your salary cap going to the running back position. We've seen teams that, if you have an elite offensive line, you can have a solid run game off of that alone. You don't necessarily need a top 5 to 10 talent at that position when you can get 1,000 yards from, a bottom half talent running back. So, I think it's definitely something that you're going to see a lot more, especially, as a way to not put too much of a load on one running back. That way you have 2 and 3 options where you can share the carries, and guys are a lot fresher at the end of the season, a lot fresher, later into their careers.
Yeah. And you made a great point. And I think that plays into it. These Super Bowl winning teams, if we look at the last few teams that have won, the Chiefs with Pacheco, and they had other guys they would put in from time to time. The Bucks, when they won, Lenny was mostly the bell cow, but the Bucks won a great running team, and we see over time these teams that are winning games with either great defenses or got Hall of Fame quarterbacks. So to move into my next question for you, what position do you think is the most valuable outside of quarterback? Since we've seen running back has been devalued now, what position would you say on the or maybe even just a position unit perhaps is the most valuable outside the quarterback?
Outside the quarterback, probably say defensive lineman.
Mhm.
It's tough. I'm like tossing back and forth between, left tackle and, defensive line. But, I just think that the trenches, are just so important in football. If you can protect your quarterback and, move the pile when running the ball, and, especially on defense, when you can put pressure on a quarterback, it's, next to, most valuable thing you can have on your team next to an elite quarterback.
Yeah, and I agree with you right there. I was looking at left tackle, just knowing, y'all who were with us, how much I ragged on Donovan Smith. God, thank you. Donovan Smith is no longer a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. I don't know who he plays for. I don't care. But, you see, and I think it goes hand in hand, right? You talk about defensive lines being very important. Edge rushers are at a premium. You got your team, Micah Parsons. My God, that, a guy like that, you got to have either you invest in guys like that, him, the Bosa brothers, Aaron Donald, Chris Jones on the line, guys like that. And then on the flip of that,
those dudes got the rings too,
right?
Outside of Parsons.
Exactly. I mean, maybe
soon. It's coming.
Yeah. Okay. I'll let you get into that later. I won't blow up your spot too early. But you see, on the flip side, you got to pay guys, to block those guys. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot harder in the NFL to win without a quarterback. I mean, without a quarterback, but also without an offensive line, as seen by just a lot of the teams that struggled, last year, my team included, and other teams. So I agree with you right there with that. I think, looking at the offensive line, the defensive line, the trenches, and the quarterback position, because you can find playmakers just about anywhere. We see so many undrafted guys go on to be, Hall of Famers or late round guys that go on to make a lot of noise in the NFL at running back, receiver, even corners. But it's hard to really find like those linemen that are elite. They're elite for a reason. There's one Micah Parsons, you know what I'm saying? There's one Joey Bosa, there's one Nick Bosa, there's one Aaron Donald. And year after year, those guys have shown that, I mean, hey, if they don't play, your defense looks a lot different. So I know you as a Cowboys fan, you are really excited about where y'all are headed with Micah Parsons, which turns me into my next order of business as we begin looking at our series that we're going to do for the remainder of the preseason to kind of keep you all entertained. We're going to do our 2-for-2 NFL division breakdown, and we're going to start off with the NFC conference. And because my boy Nelly is a Cowboys fan and I am a Bucs fan, you see his hat, very proud Cowboys fan. I got a lot of stuff.
I wouldn't say proud.
Okay, maybe not proud.
I wouldn't say proud.
I'll say, no, you're one of the more realistic Cowboys
I'm
fans.
here. Yeah.
You're okay right now until, Dak start being Dak. But I'll let you touch on that yourself. So we're going to look at the NFC East first, because my co-host, Nell, Zeke is officially gone from the Cowboys. I know that Zeke was a very, very he's one of your favorite guys. You talked about him a little bit earlier. So Nell, let it out. How do you feel about the end of the Zeke era? And how does it feel knowing that you're going to turn on your Cowboys and you most likely, he's still unsigned, but most likely won't see your boy running that football with that star on his helmet this year?
Man, I got to tell you, happy as hell. Happy as hell. Look, love my guy Zeke. I got his jersey. It's my boy.
It was time. It was time to go.
It was time. It was just time. Look, I couldn't watch him carry the ball for 1 and 2 yards on first and second down anymore. I just couldn't do it. He was still pretty good in the red zone, and so I'm like, I mean, it is kind of shocking to me that he's like not on a team at all. So I mean, he's still a great blocker, a great locker room guy. Still proved last year that down in the red zone he could get the ball inside. I think he had 8-9 touchdowns last year, so that was a little shocking. But yards per carry just kept dropping year after year. You could see he didn't have that speed or burst to him that he used to have his first 2 years in the league. So it was just time, and he was just making way too much money. Tony Pollard, obviously a guy that was his backup, getting minimal carries and stuff, and doing much more with it.
Right. He
performed. So I mean, Pro Bowl year from him at being a backup. So it was just time to let him take over.
Okay, and I mean, and that's a fair assessment. Like we said, the shelf life is a lot different. You could tell, looking at Zeke he could still get it done in the short yardage, but that was because a lot of his carries were already short yardage anyway. You put him in down the goal line, or you need 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, you could ram
need
him
2
in
yards,
there.
he'll get it for you.
Right, but
No matter where you at.
He didn't have that
20-yard line, 5-yard line. You only getting 2 yards.
2 yards a pop, man. And that's just not, that's not what it is. And you could tell looking at the Cowboys offense, it was just a lot more explosive with Tony Pollard. And I think, that's kind of what led to the end of, the Zeke era. But quick question, do you have a team in mind that you think Zeke could be useful for? Just something right off the dome.
Bills, maybe.
Bills, okay.
I thought maybe he'd have been a nice red zone option for the Bills. Yeah, I don't know. I'm glad, I saw reports he was trying to go to the Eagles. I'm glad that didn't happen. That'd made me sick to my stomach.
Worried. And it was a time where I was, and I still slightly do have a little bit of interest in him being a Tampa Bay Buccaneer, just because I don't think we have that, like you said, that 2 yards a pop, that guy that we can put in there. Rachaad White's a great back, or a great young back, but he's more of an elusive guy, agile. So we don't really have that thumper. So I wouldn't be mad, if you're so willing to allow us to take him off your hands, as it sounds like you are.
Since we spanked y'all in the playoffs last year.
See, I thought we weren't going
to. I'll allow it.
I thought we weren't going to do that.
I'm sorry.
I thought we weren't going to do that. See, we're going to get to me in a bit, but you okay, now see, everybody, you got to realize Nell likes to do this. He likes to kind of pick with me. He knows, him and everybody knows that my Bucks are on the downswing, but we'll get there. So don't worry, I'll let you have that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to transition to looking at the best team in the NFC East. Who you think, a team that will surprise, who might win a division. And we'll look at some impact players from all the teams. So first, Nell, if you had to tell me who the best team is in the NFC East, give me in your most unbiased way, give me somebody. Who's the best team? I don't know why I'm even at it.
It's still them damn Eagles.
Oh man, that hurts. You heard it here.
Still them damn Eagles.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's and I'm right with you. I'm looking. When we sat down and we mapped this whole thing out, I was like, it's hard to say that Philly's not the best team. They didn't really lose a lot. They lost C.J. Gardner-Johnson, but aside from that, they still got, Jalen Hurts. They still got the head coach. They still got the offensive line. So you're gonna go with Philly, and do you see y'all splitting this year, or is it?
I mean, it's possible. I don't think I think it's the Eagles by a pretty good margin, but their schedule is a little tougher than last year. So, we'll see if the Cowboys can take that step this year, but that seems to always be the question with them. So, who knows? We'll see. I think it'll be close. Obviously, both teams, two of the best teams in the NFC, but I think the Eagles, coming off of last year, like you said, they got, Jalen Carter, Hurts is back, AJ's back, Brandon Graham's back, Cox is back, Lane Johnson's back, Kelsey's back. They got too many guys. So, I think, like we talked about the trenches, I think, offensive line, defensive line, they're both stamped on that side. And, if Jalen Hurts has another MVP-like season, there's no reason why they won't, be back in the Super Bowl.
Right. No, I think a lot of people should be on that same wavelength as the both of us. So moving out of that, what team in the NFC do you think will surprise you?
Honestly, I don't know. I don't think there really is a surprise. I think I think the division honestly could go the same way it did last year. If anything, I think the Giants, might fall back a little bit after last year. Maybe Daniel Jones slips up, maybe Saquon with all the contract and running back talk, maybe he doesn't have as good a year as he did last year. So, we'll see, their offensive line still needs some work. Secondary still needs some work. So there's still some questions with the Giants, but as far as the order goes, Washington will be Washington. I don't think they're threatening anyone. So, it's really Eagles, Dallas, Giants, Washington again.
Okay. And so I think, you went with the team that was surprising in a little bit of a not so good way in terms of Giants. You think they might regress? I went with the Giants as well, but in a more positive light. I think, I'm not gonna say I'm a big Daniel Jones fan. I will say I was on the pod here last season and I was rooting for the Giants. My boy Chico had me rooting for the Giants and they let me down. So I'm hoping that this year that they don't. Coming off a pretty good year. I think Brian Daboll is a great coach. I think they'll surprise some teams in a good way. I'm not sure, like you said, y'all's division is tough. It's gonna be hard. It's hard to say, it's hard to see a team sneaking
Dak
in.
just don't lose to the Giants.
Right.
It just don't happen.
And that's how it's always been. So it's hard to say that, it'll change. But I think with the Giants, they added some offensive firepower to go along with Saquon, and Darren Waller, Jalen Hyatt, who's been making a lot of noise. I think Daniel Jones takes a step up. A lot of people are calling Andrew Thomas one of the best left tackles in football. We talked about that a little bit earlier. So I think the Giants will surprise some folks in a good way. Nell says bad way. Keith says good way. So that's something that we can track as the season goes on. Chico, when you hear this, I hope your team don't let me down, man. This is the last time I'm going to be on the bandwagon for you. So Nell already kind of touched on it. So do you think the Eagles win the division?
Yeah, I think the Eagles win the division. It'll probably come down to, the last game maybe or so. Maybe it'll come down to, the two matchups they have this year. Like I said, the Eagles got a much tougher schedule than last season. Last season was a, cupcake schedule for sure. It'll be a little bit tougher, but, I'll still go with the Eagles winning it by a game.
Okay, that's fair. Now I'm right with you. I think, everything you touched on the trenches, I think they have the fewest question marks in the NFC East. I think Tony Pollard being hurt for you all is going to hurt a little bit just early on in the season. So I think with that, I think the Eagles will also win the division. And maybe they make another run. I don't know. I usually get a little critical of Philly sometimes, but I feel like, all chips are on the table. They gotta get one. If they don't get one this year or next year, somebody gonna get fired. That's all I'm gonna say. So moving from that, who do you think will be the X factor for each team? You got the Giants, Philly, your Cowboys, and the Washington. Are they the football team still? Or are they the Commanders?
Commanders.
They're about to change their name again.
I had to think about it.
I was like, what do I call them? I heard some things that they got new ownership with, and because of new ownership, they might change their name again. So we'll see. So who's your X factor for each of those teams? And also give me one rookie that you think will make an impact on each of these teams.
All right,
so we'll start with Dallas.
All right, Dallas. Well, this is kind of both. I think the X factor and my rookie that's going to stand out, Mozzie Smith.
Okay, that's my Michigan boy. I like that.
Sir. Okay. Everyone's counting on him to come and, help fix a run defense. They gave up 129 rushing yards a game last year. Okay. They were a little bit better in the second half of the season, but, I think if he can come in and, really help, it's a big ass out of a rookie, but, if he can come in and, help this run defense even a little bit, I think it'll go a long way for this team and this defense.
Okay, so your X factor and impact rookie are both Mozzie Smith.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I like that. I actually went the same direction. I had Mozzie Smith being my impact rookie, also followed by Vaughn, just because of his, I think he's shown a lot so far in camp. I think with Tony Pollard, his injury, coming off the injury a little bit, he'll have a lot of opportunity to make an impact early. I think he has a very unique skill set as well. But Mozzie Smith is a great selection. I'm telling you, he's a ball player, he's a dog. And my impact, my X factor for you all is the only one I could, it's got to be Dak Prescott. I think at the end of the day, it all kind of boils back down to Dak. When we think about, when you think about the Dallas Cowboys, you think about Dak, you think about his just his overall performance. He's a guy that is very polarizing, right? He's talented and he has games where it's like, wow, or he has drives rather, where he's showing a lot and then interception, and what we've seen so far in the offseason, and he's getting a lot of press, and I don't know how you feel about it. I'm gonna ask you, just today on Twitter, or excuse me, X. We're gonna call it Twitter because that's crazy. That's another thing.
I'm never gonna call it
Yeah,
X.
it's Twitter. He threw some more interceptions today, two actually, to Trayvon Diggs. So do you how you feel about Dak, going into the season?
Man, I tell you, it's a roller coaster watching him. Because he can come out and he can dominate on the road in the playoffs like he did against Tampa Bay, where he had me jumping up and down, hyping the crib. I'm like super excited, just hoping he can play like that again. And then, you go to St. Fran and you score 12 points, 9 points, whatever it was, don't score offensive touchdown. It's just makes the side of my brain hurt. So, going into the season, I've just kind of tempered my expectations on him.
Okay.
He's like, we'll talk about it soon, but he's like a tier 2 QB.
Okay.
It's not bad, but it's not, it's not upper echelon. He's going to have, games where, he just be doing too much.
Right.
Mike McCarthy's taking over the play calling this year. So, we'll see if, this new offense, what that does with Dak's game, how that meshes. But, I expect them to win games and not get past the second round. That's just what I'm used to.
Okay, I mean, and that's a fair assessment. We'll wait and we'll see. We'll track Dak. I'm sure we'll have a lot to talk about as we move through the regular season. So, give me your X factor and impact rookie for the Philadelphia Eagles. Your arch nemesis.
Yeah, my X factor. I got Devontae Smith. I think if he takes another leap this year at receiver, and he had a really good year last year next to AJ Brown, and if he takes another step and becomes maybe a bona fide number one, that'll just make that offense even more scary with Jalen Hurts develop into the player that he's been developing to.
Yeah,
And
I'm
then I
not.
guess,
Now go ahead.
and then rookie, obviously, Jalen Carter. Big boy, they got him, arguably, best player in the draft, to help bolster that D line, which is, already, the one of, if not the best in the league.
Yeah.
So, he's probably going to have, a lot of opportunity to, see one-on-one coverage because they got so many great pass rushers, and, he should have a great year in that system.
And that's not, it's a lot of trench love from Nelly today, as you can see. He's really leaning into
That's how I built my Madden team.
hey, he's a trench guy first. And I'm not mad at that Devontae Smith pick either. We know what he did in college. He had probably the best season a wide receiver could ever possibly have. So we know he has the tools. They have AJ Brown on the other side. And so all of that kind of together would make them even more dangerous. I think we talked about a Super Bowl run for them, and it's going to come down to that. That guy's going to have to be great. They're going to have to be able to pass the ball a little bit more. But for me, my X factor is going to be DeAndre Swift. I think that when you look at, what they lost, he lost Miles Sanders, and their run game is going to be what it is. They have a great offensive line. They have Jalen Hurts, who's a threat. But if DeAndre Swift can come in and be who we know that DeAndre Swift has the capability to be, I think that he makes this offense even scarier. We saw the Eagles kind of at times move away from Miles Sanders. There began, when I was a fantasy, football guy,
I've been there.
Miles Sanders get to the one and Hurts is pulling it every time, and it hurt my soul. But with DeAndre Swift, I think he opens up the passing game for them. I think that he's a great runner. Georgia Bulldog, those guys, they make good running backs out there. They know what they're doing. So I'm going with DeAndre Swift as my big X factor. And I knew you were going to go with Jalen Carter, so I had to think. I had to go deep in my bag. I had to talk to some of my Eagles friends. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to go with Sidney Brown for a big impact guy.
I feel like I know what friend you've been talking
to.
Yeah.
And I hope he leads me in the right direction. I told him I hope that we could do well by him. But Sidney Brown coming in, I actually will say I wanted him for the Bucs in the draft. And I think he comes in as safety out of Illinois. He has great intangibles. I think he's a really smart player, and I think he'll step in, and he'll have to step in and assume the role that CJ GJ has left vacant after the Eagles did not want to pay him what he thought he was worth. So I'm gonna go with Sidney Brown for my rookie that will make an impact. But I think the Eagles have so many guys. Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith. I mean, Jesus, dogs just kept falling to him, and that's the scary thing about it, about the Eagles, that they have so many guys, quite literally dogs coming from Georgia, coming in there, and those guys in the trenches, you're a trench guy. So I'm not mad at any of those selections. We're gonna move right along to the New York Football Giants. Give me your rookie impact as well as your X factor for this team.
All right, my X factor, Darren Waller, got to be,
Right
big playmaker they brought in to help Daniel Jones after giving him a contract, brings a lot of versatility and playmaking to that offense. I think they were last in the league in plays over 20 yards or over. And Darren Waller, if he can stay healthy, because obviously that's a big thing these past couple of years. But the 2 years where he was considered an elite tight end with the Raiders, I think he had 16 one year, 14 another year of receptions of 20 or more yards. So just bringing that big play factor to the Giants, I think will help them out. And then for rookie, I got Deontay Banks.
Okay.
The corner, like I said earlier, Giants secondary, isn't that great. They don't have many options on that side. So, I think he can come in and make an impact because they'll definitely need it.
Oh man, I'm right with you. I think you're in my notes, except for I went with Darren Waller, and my rookie impact guy for the same reason that you went with Darren Waller, for their lack of big plays offensively. Jalen Hyatt, a speedster out of Tennessee. I mean, he's like a camp darling. He's blowing up, for his ability to run down the field and stretch the defense out. I think it opens up a lot between him and Darren Waller. With Saquon in the backfield, I have a hard time believing that this Giants offense doesn't improve. I think it's it's one of those years where, for me, it's put up or shut up for Daniel Jones, right? They gave him everything that he could need. You got an elite upside tight end. You got Saquon back on board. We talked a little earlier about the running back thing. They got a good offensive line, and now you got to add a guy. They have a lot of speed. But Jalen Hyatt, I think what they say, he recorded the fastest top speed so far this offseason. It's like, I have a hard time seeing that guy not make an impact, because I think they'll have to get him the ball early and often in that offense. So I'm with you, Darren Waller. I think Hyatt, Banks is going to be a great pickup as well. I like him a lot. Maryland guy, Big Ten corners, long, athletic, rangy. And that Giants defense can make some noise, I think, if all things fall into place. So lastly, we're going to move into our Washington Commanders. Who do you think? Who do you got?
Yeah, I'm thinking there's a lot of guys, but, I'm thinking with Chase Young coming back off that injury, played a couple games towards the end last year. It's a big year for him. Obviously, they didn't extend his contract, so, he'll be playing for a contract this year. Washington's got a bunch of talent on that defense. And if he can, kind of make an impact like he did his rookie year, it could be a special unit. So, if he can get back and, remind people in the league why he was the number 2 overall pick, I think he can be a huge X factor for Washington in that defense.
Okay. So rookie,
I'm gonna take Emmanuel Forbes.
All right.
Has 6 pick sixes in college. So, Washington, like I said, they're going to be relying a lot on their defense this year, because let's be honest, offensively, we'll see what Sam Howell can do, but, let's be real, there's not going to be much there. So they'll be relying on their defense, and his playmaking in the secondary could, be huge for them.
Okay, and I'm with you on Emmanuel Ford. I think he's a big playmaker. I think he's something that they need, a guy that's not afraid to come up and tackle, not afraid of the big play. I think with that defensive line that you just spoke on, he'll have a lot of opportunities to kind of make plays on the back end with that pass rush as well. But because you talked about the offense not being great, I actually went with Eric Bieniemy as their X factor. He won't be able to recreate that Chiefs magic, that Pat Mahomes, that old Tyreek Hill. It's going to be hard to recreate that. However, like you mentioned, Sam Howell is coming in. I mean, he did some things in college. He's not. I mean, in his one game that he played, it shows some promise. So that's why I think if the enemy can get the best out of Howell, I'm not sure how much it moves the ceiling, how much it moves the needle. I don't think the Commanders are contenders yet. But I think if Eric Bieniemy can make this offense move, you just spoke on how good their defense is and how good it can be. I think it helped them steal a couple wins. It might help them stay competitive in a very competitive NFC East. And so with that, our last question in terms of our NFC East, do you think aside from the Eagles who you talked about, are there any other Super Bowl contenders? Is your team a Super Bowl contender?
I'm going to shoot myself in the foot and say Dallas, but I think they're still a top 3-4 team in the NFC. So,
if the cards align, there's opportunity.
There's an opportunity. But I think Philly and San Fran obviously are separated themselves from the pack. But Philly definitely has a chance to get right back. And, with the Cowboys, it's maybe, but probably not.
Right. Okay. And so we talked about, the Eagles are contenders. Y'all are in that race. Giants kind of in the middle. Is there a team that's tanking for Caleb? Should the Washington Commanders
I mean, they probably should, especially with Eric Bieniemy already there. But, I think we both acknowledge that their defense is, has a chance to be really elite. They got a crazy D-line, Deron Payne, Chase Young, added some playmakers in the secondary. So, I think their defense is going to be good enough. They're going to have, they're going to win a couple games off that alone. And, they got some playmakers out on the outside, Scary Terry's still there. With Bieniemy being there, maybe the offense does improve. And if it does with that defense, it'll probably win a good amount of games. They won't necessarily be in the number 1 overall pick sweepstakes.
Okay. And that's fair. I'm right with you on that. I feel like it's a little too competitive in the NFC East for anybody to really tank. I know, Riverboat Ron, that's not, tanking's not really his thing. He wants to go for the gusto. So they're going to put up a fight. I think, they have a good opportunity, like you said, with Bieniemy. But we'll see how Sam Howell does. I won't write him off yet. I don't think anybody. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. But I have a hard time seeing, like you said, with that defense, them being at, you probably don't have to win 2 or 3 games to be in that space. And I don't know, I think they'll easily get, up to a certain amount of points, which leads me into my next point. For you, Nell, you have the win totals, right? For the NFC East teams?
Yes, sir.
All right, so let's go ahead and let's do a little over under. Go ahead, read them off for me.
All right, we're gonna start with the Eagles. Over under 11.5. Won 14 games last year. What you thinking?
I'm gonna have to say over again. I think it'll be tough for them to. You name the teams that can really beat them. You all maybe might get one. And the 49ers can beat them. But in the NFC and AFC, I don't really think there's any other teams my Bucks play them, Monday night. Week 3. We might steal one. But I'm going to go over. I think that's a pretty solid over.
I think the over is definitely hitting for that one. Like you said, it's just too much talent on both sides, both sides of the ball. Well coached. So, there's coming back another year. Jalen Hurts, another year of progression. Devontae Smith, another year of progression. They got a bunch of young dogs, like you talked about on the team, young dogs, vets. Like it's a crazy roster. So
they're stacked.
I'll definitely take the over on that one.
Okay.
Cowboys over under 9.5. 112 last year.
12 last year. I think they get over as well. I don't see the Cowboys. They're one of those teams, like you said, man. I think
Be around.
yeah, they're gonna always be in games. I don't see them really just flat out struggling with anybody. I think they have enough talent. CeeDee Lamb, when Tony Pollard's healthy, the offensive line, the defense, Diggs, Michael Parsons. I mean, y'all got some guys over there as well. As much as I hate to say it, I just have a hard time seeing them not getting, 10 wins. I can see them getting in I think y'all get about 11, maybe 12. I think, like you said, it come down to kind of the end of the year. Those divisional games will be tough. But outside, I see y'all going on record. I see y'all sweeping the division outside of the Eagles. I think you get 2 against Washington.
That's just a yearly occurrence these days.
So with that, I think y'all definitely hit the over because y'all just got too much talent. I don't think McCarthy's gonna mess it up too much, and I don't think Dak will be fine until you really, really, really need him.
And man, back to back 12-win seasons for the first time in a long time.
So yeah, I can see y'all getting it right at 11-12 again, man.
Yeah, I like that too. I'll take the over on that one. Like you talked about, it's still top 3 team, top 3-4 team in the NFC. So playing teams like Washington and New York 4 times, that helps. So yeah, I'll definitely take the over on that one. That's a good one. So then we got the New York Giants. This one's kind of crazy. Over under 7.5.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I've been looking at their schedule. I had to pull it up again. Starting off the year against you all. Cardinals, I think that's a win. 49ers, nah. Seahawks could go either way. You said it's 7.5?
Yeah.
They got a tough one, man. Dolphins, Bills, Jets, Packers, Saints. I can see. I said they're gonna surprise.
You did. I was about to say, don't act like that now. After you,
I said they're gonna surprise.
You
know what I'm saying? I said they're gonna surprise. So I'm gonna take the over for the New York Football Giants as well. I think
you can't say they're gonna surprise people and then take a under
they could surprise
7.5.
They could surprise us and win 7.
They had 9 wins
I see them getting. I think we got 3 NFC East teams making the playoffs again. I see the Giants getting the over. Even despite the tough schedule, I think they can. I think they beat Washington 2 times. And then outside of that, they got a couple games that I think they could maybe steal. They got some tough ones, but like I said, that defense is really solid. So it's gonna come down to Daniel Jones. I think Saquon plays a very inspired year. Just to prove, y'all not finding nobody else like this. So I'm gonna take them over since I'm ride with the Giants. I said they're gonna surprise, so they're gonna surprise. They get the over 7.5 wins as well.
I'm gonna see you over. I'm gonna take the under. I said they're gonna surprise people and regress. So look, I'm gonna stick with it. I'm gonna take the under. It's tough because I think they're gonna win 7 or 8 games. So I'm struggling.
And that's what I'm
struggling.
I'm thinking they get to. I'm like I'm comfortable with 7.
But you started rattling off that schedule, and I'm like, God,
I know. I had to put it down.
I think they good, but I don't know if they that damn good. Like
Packers, Patriots. They might get Packers, Patriots, Rams. That might be 3. Commanders twice. That's 5.
They had a lot of crazy comeback wins last year.
Yeah, they gotta win all the ones that they gotta win all the gimmies, man. The Cardinals they can't lose.
Got to.
Seahawks they gotta. It's not a gimme, but that's one of the ones they gotta win. Raiders. Giants, Jets can go either way. That's just the New York thing. Patriots, Saints game will be tough for them. Rams will be a little tough, but I can see them get. I think they're gonna squeeze out 8, man. I think they're gonna squeeze out 8.
I like them at 7. We're gonna say 7, 8. It's a tough one right there. All right, if we go to the Commanders, last team in the division, over under 6.5 wins. They won 8 last year.
I'm going under. I don't see it. I think it's going to be tough to win in the division. I think that y'all division has one of the I think y'all have the 4 toughest schedules in the NFL or something like that. It's going to be tough for them to get over that number. Last year was a good year, but I just think they probably get about 5, maybe 4 or 5. They'll be tough because of the defense, but Sam has a lot of pressure. And I just think it's a little too crowded, in that division. It'd be hard to get wins out of that. And then outside of that, playing against those teams, man, it's gonna be a dogfight. So unfortunately, my Commanders friends, I just don't believe it. I don't think y'all believe it. So we're not gonna even pretend.
Yeah, shout out to the Commanders fans. Y'all been through a lot, and I'm gonna go ahead and y'all ain't gonna get no sympathy from me, but I'm gonna go ahead and smash the under on that one. I think they can get like 5, 6 wins. I think 7 would be a very good season for them.
Right. You get 7, you comfortable. I think they get 7, they're comfortable with that.
I just think last year the NFC was just so bad. Like 4 teams from the division almost made the playoffs, but I just find it hard to believe that it'll be that bad again. Like some of these teams are, going to come back to earth, and, some teams are going to surprise you. And there's always teams that shock you every year. So we'll see.
Speaking of teams that are going to shock us, man, perfect segue into our NFC South conversation. We're going to start off with my Bucks, man. Whew. I'm going to let it out. Tom Brady is gone.
Feeling? Stuff.
Tom Brady's gone, man. It hurts a lot. It hurts a lot. I was
retired that man.
It won't y'all, man. It won't y'all. He was already gone. It was Giselle. If Giselle,
his last NFL loss too.
If Giselle, like I said, didn't pull that stunt, man, Tommy would still be playing with us. People ask, the question around the Bucks, man, is there a rebuild in store? I'm gonna go on the record right now. I'm just gonna tell y'all flat out, it won't happen. It won't happen this year. Just because it can't. I mean, I appreciate the claps, man, but it can't. I'm hurt. Tom Brady did more than what I could have imagined. I was able to see my team get another Super Bowl in my lifetime. A lot of y'all can't say y'all saw 1. I've seen 2. Argue with whoever you want to argue with, but Tom Brady did what he did. I think last year, I firmly believe last year could have went a completely different way if, Tom, I just don't think Tom was in it mentally. And then we had, we talked about the trenches earlier, and I mentioned my offensive line was trash. I'm going to just put it out. Trash. Losing Ali Marpet right before the season to retirement, being stuck with Donovan Smith. Tristan Wirfs got banged up down the stretch. Ryan Jensen got hurt beginning of the year, thugged it out, came back to give y'all boys a chance. But we just didn't have enough. And I think all those things combined, it just didn't work. The offense was terrible. The defense was terrible. And somehow we still made the playoffs. We still won the division. But there is no chance for a rebuild. And here's why. Todd Bowles is coaching for his job. I mean, he's coaching for his head coaching life. I'm gonna be honest, I wasn't a fan of the hire. He messed this one up. He won't be a head coach ever again. That's pretty simple. He just won't. Quarterback situation. It's something. We down to Baker Mayfield and Kyle Trask. It's hard to even say that. I just said Tom Brady, and then I'm talking about.
I can see the stress.
You see it? My head's hurt.
Yeah, man. It's all right.
We're going to see how much I aged during the year. But I just don't see us rebuilding. I also think our roster is – we put so much into it during the Tom Brady years, and we still have our main guys outside of Tom. And I love that our team can now kind of establish a chip on our shoulder. I think last year we hadn't been there, you know what I'm saying? We hadn't been there. And we won a Super Bowl, and we was at the mountaintop, and I think a lot of guys kind of had that lull, that Super Bowl layover. They were like, we good. I'm going to get paid soon. I did this, I did that. I'm playing for my stats, and it just didn't come together. But, we still have guys like Mike Evans, Chris Godwin coming back 100% healthy. Tristan Wirfs says our all-pro right tackle has moved over to left tackle, so at least I don't have to worry about Donovan Smith at left tackle. We drafted some guys on the line, Cody Mock. We get Jensen back. We still got Vita Vea on defense. We still got Carlton Davis and Jamel Dean. We were able, by the grace of God, to bring back Jamel Dean and Levante David, our two biggest free agents. And we got Devin White in check. We still got Antoine Whitfield. We signed Ryan Neal, who had a breakout season last year with the Seahawks. I think he really, really breaks out this year. I just think it's a lot of talent. Now, we're not that deep, and that's something that, plays a role. But I think all in all, it's going to come down to quarterback play, and that's where the stress comes from. It's like we got talent. We got Baker, but we kind of know what Baker is. We don't know who Kyle Trask is, but all reports are that he's not great. But replacing Tom Brady was going to be a tall task anyway. So I'm encouraged. I'll say, I'm a holdout hope that Baker Mayfield wins the job. I think he gives the best chance to win games. But I don't see us rebuilding. I don't think it's possible. And if we have an awful year, like I said about Philly in a couple years, man, people get fired. It's pretty simple. So that's my soapbox, man. I'll get into my Bucks a little bit more because I'm slightly delusional. What can I say?
Yeah. I can't wait to hear this.
So we'll move into. Oh, well, one last thing. I will say, while I did love the Tom Brady era, I do also think it was time to go for him, similar to how you said with Zeke. You can kind of tell the tail off. Like a lot of people are saying, we talking about quarterback tiers. What tier was Tom at this point if he would have come back this year? The reality is Tom's not getting hit. Michael Parsons had him literally seeing ghosts, man. If Michael Parsons, if he even saw that jersey, Tom was throwing it in the dirt. You know what I'm saying? And that was where he was trending. That's where he was trending. So I think, it's for his safety, for our team. I think we need a guy that can extend plays in today's NBA. NFL. I'm moving on because the Bucks stressing me out already, man. In today's NFL, you got to have a guy that can extend plays, and Tom just, the moxie, the leadership, it goes a long way, but when you get to the point where you scared to even move out the pocket, it is not going to happen. So I'll just say it was time to go for that. But moving along, I'll let Nell talk. I'm done talking about the Bucks. It's going to stress me out. Who is the best team you think in the NFC South?
Look, man, right now, if I had to choose, gun to my head, I'm going to rock with the Saints. Now, pretty much every team in this division got questions at quarterback, but Carr has the least amount of questions.
Yep.
And he is coming off a down year, and it wasn't for lack of weapons. Obviously, you had Devontae Adams, one of the top receivers in the league.
Josh Jacobs.
Led the league in rushing. So, Alvin Kamara suspended for the first 3 games, but, he'll have him and Jamal Williams, who led the league in touchdowns last year. So
can't believe
Chris Olave, had a really good rookie year, despite having to play with, Andy Dalton and, some, poor QB play. So Michael Thomas is, supposedly going to play this season. We'll see. So, the Saints got weapons.
Yep.
You got weapons. Yeah. And, they got a pretty good defense. Cam Jordan's still there, locked in. That D-line can, still get to the quarterback. Got Honey Badger. So, they got the most talent, I think, by far in the division. So, we'll see. And all you need is probably about 8-9 wins to win this division. So, and they got a cupcake schedule. So, Saints.
NFL.
Yep. Saints, I think, will be the pick this year if all goes right with Derek Carr.
Yeah, it's hard for me to say this as well. I feel like you had to say Philly, but I'm able to say the Saints. I'm able to admit that
we realistic on here.
Yeah, I have my moments of delusion, but I'm trying to start off season 3 with.
Yeah, let me wait till we get like 2-3 wins before I start shouting Super Bowl.
Let them Bucks get a dub, man. It's gonna be a wrap in here. But I'm gonna go with the Saints as well for the same reasons. I think they have the fewest question marks. Derek Carr is, the only quarterback that we can say that we know, kind of who he is, what he is, and he's still the most talented one. I mean, the reality is Michael Thomas is a beast when he plays. I call him Slant Boy because we don't like him in Tampa, you know. But I mean, even last year, I think he scored every game he played. You know, like he scored a touchdown every game he played. It's just if he plays. Same with Alvin Kamara. You know, when he comes back, I think it's insane that he comes back week 4 because that's who we play the Saints week 4. I'm like, yo, 3 games? But you know, the NFL, they do what they do. So I think they're the best team as well. In the NFC South, which might, you know, I gotta come with a moniker. You know, we had the NFC least when y'all had y'all's down year. So I gotta find one for the NFC South because, like you said, I think eight wins it. I mean, last year it wasn't great. This year, I don't really think any team got tremendously better. So I'm gonna go with the Saints as well for the best team. I want to hear who you think will surprise. What team will surprise you? I'm waiting to hear the Bucks. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna go with the Panthers here. You know,
Okay.
I think they got a chance to maybe shock some people. New coaching staff. You know, heard a lot of good things about Bryce Young at camp. You know, first overall pick. You know, secondary should be a little bit better. Offensive line should be a little bit better. Like you said, nobody really improved their team much in this division. But I mean, at the end of the day, they even without, you know, lesser weapons, you know, without a young quarterback, they, you know, they were right there. You know, if they would have beat the Bucks and, you know, in that last meeting, they would have had a chance to get in there and finesse themselves a playoff spot somehow, some way. So, you know, if Bryce is, you know, that guy, and obviously as a rookie quarterback, not a lot of guys come in unless you're already going into a great situation,
Right.
have much success their rookie year. But, you know, if he lights the league on fire, you know, maybe they can do some things. Obviously, they got Miles Sanders,
Yeah.
you know, former Eagles running back. So, you know, they got some guys there on the offensive end, Adam Thielen, DJ Shark. So they, you know, they got, you know, not elite weapons, but
Right.
they got some
There's
pretty
something.
good guys there. Yeah. And
Yeah.
like you talked about, it probably only need 8-9 wins to win this division.
Yeah. And I mean that's fair. That's a fair assessment. I mean, if Bryce is who he was at Bama or even close, I think they have enough around him to, you know, surprise some teams. They play hard. I'm not too happy how they kind of handled the head coaching thing towards the end of the year last year. But none of that matters because my team that's going to surprise are them Tampa Bay Buccaneers, man. I mean, what now? Over under they got to say what, like 5.5? I think maybe 6, might be 4, but we'll get to that later. But I mean, like, I just think we're gonna surprise some folks, man. I think a lot of people are counting us out. I think a lot of people got us kind of in that tank for Caleb. You know what I'm saying? I just spoke on. They think it's rebuild. And I just think, like I said a little earlier, we got a little bit too much. I think if Baker Mayfield can win the job, I mean, it's the perfect story, right? You know, he's got the chip on his shoulder. We looked at a lot of people are kind of, well, me and a lot of other people in Bucks Nation, I guess I can say, are hoping for a Geno Smith-esque year from Baker. We brought in the offensive coordinator Dave Canales from the
Good luck with
Seahawks.
that.
Hey man, the man can dream. Come on,
Yeah.
you can't do me like that, man. We bought in.
You got to go to sleep to dream, brother.
Well, I'm not sleeping on my team, so we up. We up. I'm not sleeping on the Bucks. We're not sleeping on the Bucks. I think Baker comes in with a chip on his shoulder. He showed in last year with the Rams. I mean, he had a nice little comeback drive to win the game. And if we can get that Baker, if we can get Baker that takes care of the ball
for one game.
I mean, as long as he does it for, let's say, 8 games. If he takes care of the ball 8 times, that might be enough to win the division, like we said. You know, I mean,
it's asking a lot.
I mean, it is asking a lot, but I think, you know, the way Todd Bowles wants us to run, he wants us to be able to run the ball more. We boost the offensive line. He's a defensive coach who wants to take care of the ball. So if we can do those things, man, I think our defense has some good things in store, and I think we can surprise some folks in a good way. I think we get over the hump. I think we might not win the division, but I think we can slide in there in the NFC. Like you said, last year it wasn't great. You know, we still got some teams that improved, and we'll touch on them as we go along. But you know, I still think the NFC is so top heavy that it's an opportunity for the Bucks to sneak in there, man. And that's all I want. A playoff berth, I'm happy. So with that, we're gonna do what we just did again. First, do the Saints win the division?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I'm with you.
That's something to rock with.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you on that. I'm with you with the Saints winning the division. I'm not upset about that. I'll let it ride. X Factor player. So we did it with the NFC East. We're gonna do it with the NFC South. X Factor player as long as an impact rookie. Let's start with the Tampa Bay Bucks.
All right, I got the Bucks running back unit. Tom Brady ain't walking through that door anymore. So gotta win games with defense and running the football. Don't trust any of the options at quarterback right now. So if those two running backs can, do as much as they can to, take the pressure off the quarterback, it'll go a long way for them in surprising people this season.
I like that.
And then for rookie, we'll go who was the O lineman? Cody
Mark.
Yes.
He
talked about
nasty.
Running the football. It's gonna be huge this year for them. Second round pick out of North Dakota State. So that should make life easier for everyone, protecting whoever is at quarterback and running the football. So like you talked about, their offensive line was, down bad last year. So, hopefully he can help bring it back up.
Okay. I like that. That it feels good now to like hear some positive, some positive energy coming.
Tried. I had to work hard for that one.
And that's fair. That's fair. I mean, improvement. We starting off the season great. We got me and you getting along right now. We'll see how it goes. Fortunately, me being a Bucks fan, I have some good insight. So I think our biggest X factor is going to be Shaq Barrett, along with the pass rush. I'll kind of put them together. When I think about when the Bucks won the Super Bowl, it was off the pass rush. Shaq Barrett had a crazy game. He lived in the backfield with Pat Mahomes, and I think I credit a lot of our downfall last year to his injury. He tore his Achilles in a game where I think he had 2 sacks. And when he went down, we couldn't replicate that same production. Joe Shoyinka, this is his last year. If he can't get to the passer, we drafted Yaya Diaby, he'll lose his job. Shaq Barrett coming back healthy, I think he changes our defensive line. We know we got Vita Vea in there already. We brought in Kalijah Kancey, another rookie from Pitt, who they say is like, baby Aaron Donald. Hopefully, he got a little calf injury, so that's going to set him back a little bit. But that's why I think Shaq Barrett and the pass rush are the biggest X factors for the Buccaneers this season. Because like you said, a good run game and a good defense can help a struggling quarterback. So if our defense can rush the passer, especially in our division where we got, teams that are mostly going to probably try to run the ball, but the Bucs have a pretty stout run defense. If we can rush the passer when, the Panthers have to pass, when the Falcons have to pass, when the Saints have to pass, I think that'll change the game for us. And my rookie that'll make an impact. The best name we're going to hear all year, Servassier Dennis, not Cavassier, not the beverage, Servassier Dennis, middle linebacker, also from Pitt. I see him as Levante Davis' successor or the guy that gets Devin White out of his job. Devin White wants money. Bucks draft a middle linebacker and say, hey, look, you want your money? Earn it. We're going to put this guy to push you. Servassier has already caught, I think, 3 interceptions in training camp this year. It's not saying much considering who's throwing the ball, but I think he's a really good playmaker, and I think that he'll make an impact rotating in. I think he'll give us an opportunity to kind of move Devin White around. I saw some things. Somebody was lobbying for Devin White to move into more of a Micah Parsons role. He's a little bit smaller than Micah, but he's really good rushing the passer. So maybe Servassier Dennis moves in and we can move Devin White around. And maybe, revitalize what's left of Levante David as well as our linebacking core together. So Servassier Dennis, know the name. because he's gonna make some plays.
I'll be on
Next
the
up, we're gonna
lookout.
do let's do the Atlanta Falcons.
All right. All right. X Factor, gonna go Kyle Pitts. I mean, last season didn't even crack the 400-yard mark. He was banged up a little bit, only played 11 games, but it was a big drop off from his rookie year when I think he got over 1,000 yards. So if the Falcons want to do anything this year, he's got to be a big part of that offense. And the owner has already come out and said they need to throw the ball a little more. They were extremely run heavy last year, to say the least, and even drafting
Another running back.
Yeah,
with the number one Russian attack in the league, they drafted Robinson.
So they got a lot of options on the ground, but Kyle Pitts give them some versatility and playmaking down the field. I think he should have a big year for them. Okay. And then rookie, you already talked about Bijan Robinson. I think he can come in and rushing attack is already elite. Like we talked about, that O-line is one of the best run blocking O-lines in the league. So he's going to have plenty of space to run in this coming season playing behind that line. So get your popcorn ready for that one. He's definitely going to have an impact, probably early easy rookie of the year candidate. So we'll see what kind of numbers he puts up.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm right with you. I got Kyle Pitts. Just put up a shut up for Kyle. Just put up a shut up for the Falcons. If they don't figure out how to use that man, I mean, that's their loss. You know what I'm saying? That's a guy that can – we've seen how the tight end position can really impact the game. We got guys like Travis Kelce. We got guys like – we talked about Darren Waller when he was going off with the Raiders. Why am I blanking on my guy's name? What's my guy from San Francisco?
Darren Waller. Oh, wait. Kittle?
George Kittle. Yeah, I'm blanking. I'm tripping right now. But, we've seen tight ends. They really can change the game. You have a great tight end. That's another, Kyle Pitts at his peak, that's another like wide receiver one at the tight end position. You know what I'm saying? So if they can find a way to use him, I think that opens up their offense a lot. We already talked about how they run the ball so well. I think it'll make Desmond Ridder's life a lot easier if they can maximize Kyle Pitts and Kyle Pitts can produce. And I also have Bijan Robinson. I'm very upset. The Falcons they're pushing. They're trying to, they know the NFC South is wide open. Adding that guy, it's like, dang, how much more you need? You know what I'm saying? They already got two backs that were stellar last year. To be honest with you, they were in most of the games they played. I think, I was looking earlier, probably 4 or 5 of the games that they lost could have kind of went either way. And you add a guy like Bijan Robinson, we know how good he is. He's a definite stud, and I think he could potentially be rookie of the year as well. So I'm right with you, Nell. Quis and Nelly agreeing on something. So let's move on to the Carolina Panthers. X Factor and Impact Rookie.
All right, my X Factor, I'm going to go my first coach as the X Factor. I'm going to go Frank Wright. Coming in, new head coach, saying he's bringing a new culture to Carolina. He's got the first overall pick in Bryce Young. We know what he did with Wentz early on in his years, giving him a lot of confidence to have an MVP-like season before he got hurt. So we'll see what kind of impact he can have on Bryce Young and his rookie year, and I think that'll be very telling of how this season goes for them and Bryce Young. And then for rookie, obviously I'm gonna go Bryce Young. Got a great feel for the game. Only knock on him is his size, and we'll see how he handles that this year. But he seems like he's gonna have a nice career. Panthers don't really have a true number one receiver, but they got some options, and gonna have a pretty solid run game probably. So I think Bryce Young is gonna have a really good year.
Okay, and I'm right with you. I'm gonna go with the Bryce Young sweep, kind of like you did earlier. I'm gonna say Bryce Young is the X factor as well as the impact rookie. If they can get Bryce Young to ball out, man, we've seen how much having a good quarterback can change teams. We saw, what Hurts did this year with the Eagles. Granted, the Eagles are a great team, but he changed that dynamic. He added a dynamic. We've seen what Justin Herbert has done since he's been with the Chargers. We've seen Trevor Lawrence grow into his own with the Jags, and albeit these guys didn't, necessarily come out of the gate firing. There's always that rookie, you kind of got to learn that learning period. But I think if they can get good production out of Bryce Young, if they can protect him, make him comfortable, if they can scheme to, make the game easy for him, I think, like you said, they got enough weapons. They're not, number one guys, but Miles Sanders is a very good NFL running back. Adam Thielen he's proved to be a very capable wide receiver. He might be a couple years out of his prime, but, he's still a security blanket. They drafted Jonathan Mingo from Ole Miss. We've seen Ole Miss receivers in the NFL before, and guys like DK and AJ Brown, and he's coming in from that same mold. So I think if they're able to get Bryce to play as well as he can, it gives him an opportunity in the NFC South that we've already said is wide open. And lastly, we'll do the Saints. The New Orleans Saints. Who do you got?
Let's see. I'm gonna go Derek Carr.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like we talked about down season and with the Raiders, they ended up moving on from him. And the Saints won like 4 or 5 games last year where they scored less than 20 points. So, defense is obviously pretty good. And they upgraded at quarterback, hoping to, have a much better offense, put some more points on the board. So, I like I said, I think they got pretty much a complete team. It's up to Derek Carr to go in there and have a solid season and, not pretty much be trash. And, they should be able to win their division with the talent that he has around him.
For sure. And who do you got for rookie? I mean, they don't allow the Saints. They got some guys that they drafted, but their draft wasn't the most, let's say, wow draft. They addressed a couple needs. But if you had a guy out of that class, who would you rock with?
Yeah, I think I might go Brian Brees.
Brian Brees, yep.
Yeah, I think that D-line is a big part of their team, and coming in, being able to learn from guys like Cam Jordan, if he can come in and he has the physical tools to be a solid piece to that defensive line. So if he can come in and help out, I think that just adds to the pass rush that the Saints have. Yeah,
and we got the same two again, man. I went Derek Carr and Brian Brees. Derek Carr, I feel that's a no-brainer. It's on him. They bought him in. They haven't had a good quarterback since Drew Brees left. And I love Jameis, but they ain't do right by my boy. They ain't do right by my boy Jameis. Jameis is still there, but he'll back up now full-time. Andy Dalton wasn't the answer. So I think Derek Carr has to be the X factor for the Saints if they want to be successful. They have a great defense. They have a good culture. The Saints are going to be the Saints, no matter who's at quarterback defensively, and no matter who's the head coach. So Derek Carr can either take them to the promised land, or, Derek Carr might be another guy that we're looking at midway through the year, like he might be on the chopping block, if he don't get this one right. And then Brian Brees, I think that, I think he's the one rookie that they drafted that will probably get a lot of playing time along the defensive line. They have guys, great veterans over there for him to learn from. And I just think, he has an opportunity to carve out a nice role for himself early on for the Saints. Now, this question, we did it with the NFC East, and it's a lot easier with them. I already feel like I know where you're leaning. Are there any Super Bowl contenders in the NFC South?
Nah.
Yeah.
Not one.
Yeah. We're looking at a bottom of the barrel situation here. The team, I guess, that makes it out of the NFC South will, likely be one and done, probably, playoff wise. I'm trying to put my Bucks in there to make a wild card. The Falcons, you want to say they could do something depending on what they got, but it's just so many question marks within the division, right? It's too much. What if Bryce, is him, but even if that, is that enough for them to, be considered a Super Bowl contender? Probably not. The Falcons, probably not. The Bucks, probably not. So the Saints, even at their best, they'll give any team a dogfight. That's just how the Saints roll. We talk about the culture, but are they a Super Bowl contender? Absolutely not. So lastly, with these teams, we got Derek Carr, got Bryce, we got Ritter, and we got, as the Bucs listed, Baker / Kyle Trask. Should any of these teams be tanking for the Caleb Williams this year? And don't say the Bucs because I'm gonna cut you off.
Tampa Bay needs to be tanking, man. So no, I mean, like, I understand the culture in Tampa Bay, like that's just not something that team is going to do. But I think if there was a team where, like we talked about, if a rookie comes into the right situation, rookie QB comes into the right situation, they can make some magic happen. And you got a defense there, you got Mike Evans, you got some weapons there. So if they were able to be in position to find a true successor to Tom Brady, I think that would go wonders for that franchise. But like you said, you got too many vets on that team that are just gonna not gonna come in and deal with a 2-3 win season.
Yeah, and that's why the question is should, and I agree with you, we probably should. I mean, I just imagine you retain Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, another year for Rachaad White. The offensive line is younger. The Bucs as a whole have gotten a lot younger. Levante is probably our oldest guy defensively. Will Golston, but he's more of a rotational player. So you, like you said, you put Caleb Williams in that situation, that's a quick turnaround. You know what I'm saying? If Caleb Williams turns out to be, the next Pat Mahomes, you put him in and as a Bucs fan, it's like, hey, I would love that. You know what I'm saying? I would love to have, if he's going to be Pat Mahomes, I would love it. So I think we should tank, but like you said, like we both said, it's just going to be hard to fathom. We got too many guys that, Mike Evans has had losing seasons with the Bucs. He's not trying to go back down that road.
And these guys are 2 years removed from the Super Bowl. So
it's hard. It's hard to go from Super Bowl and then winning a division, and then next year you first pick in the draft. So that's going to wrap up our look at the NFC East and the NFC South. Our next episode will come back with.
You want to do the over-unders?
Oh, yeah. Woo, I was nervous because ain't gonna be too many wins, man. So let's rock out. Let's do rapid fire over unders for the NFC South. Let's go with who you got first.
All right, Saints over under 9.5, 1-7 last year.
Under.
I'm gonna say under 2. I'm gonna say there's no team in this division is gonna win more than 9 games.
Correct.
Over under 8.5 for the Falcons, 1-7 last year.
I think they right at 7 again, maybe 8 if they're lucky. So I'm gonna take the under again. I might go straight unders this whole season, man.
So it's gonna be an under-ass division. Carolina 6.5, actually 7.5. They won 7 last year.
If you stayed at 6.5, I would have took it. I'm gonna go under again. I just underwhelming. It's gonna be. I think the division honestly is gonna look a lot like it did last year. When record-wise, it might just be like teams in different positions. Go ahead with the Bucs. I heard you. Go ahead.
6.5. 6.5. Had 8 last year.
Dang. I'm letting y'all know I'm a changed man. I've grown a little bit, man. I'm gonna say under, man. I'm gonna say under, even though I said they're gonna surprise some folks, and that's me wanting them to surprise people. I want to put that out there. That's me at my best outlook for the Bucs. I'd say we could surprise some people. We would ideally win over 6 games. But I just think all things considered, man, like you said, our biggest question mark is quarterback play. It's hard to win in the league without it. It's hard to win in the league if you have a guy that's not going to put up crazy numbers and he's going to turn the ball over, as we've seen from Baker Mayfield. Though when he's healthy, he did make the playoffs with the Browns. But my biggest problem isn't even just Baker. It's Todd Bowles as a whole. He's just not that great of a head coach. I think great defensive coordinator, all things considered. The BA era is over. The Tom Brady era is over as well. I think it'll be hard to see us getting 7 unless we're going to put an asterisk by that one for me. Unless. And I'm going to just say unless, and then we're going to let it fill in itself. So I'm going to go under unless asterisk.
Yeah, I'm feeling that under too.
Yeah.
I might put that in right now, honestly. I'm feeling good about that one.
All right, so that's enough ragging on my team. We're gonna move into our final segment. This one will be a quick one. So we seen the quarterback debate. You know, we talked a lot about running backs. We talked about the trenches. Now it's time to get to the guys that make it all go. The guy on the center, the leader of the team, the face of franchise. So we got 2 tweets. I'm gonna address one, and then I'm gonna address the others. So we got a quarterback tier list that features Patrick Mahomes and his own tier. The tier is titled Patrick Mahomes. Then we got some bona fide franchise quarterbacks that feature Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Aaron Rodgers, Lamar Jackson. Tier under them that list says could be franchise level. We got Trevor Lawrence, Dak, and Jalen Hurts, who just came off a great season. We got talented with question marks, Kyler Murray, Deshaun Watson. Then we got another tier under that, which is good enough with talent around them that features Tua, Kirk Cousins, Geno Smith, Jared Goff, and Daniel Jones, followed by a tier that says if definitely have been good, not so sure right now, which features 2 vets and Matt Stafford and Russell Wilson, guys that we've seen get Super Bowls, lead teams before. And then under that, it's kind of funny. It says, if I have to find, that ranks Garoppolo, Derek Carr, Ryan Tannehill. Tier under that, young with high potential, that features our man Justin Fields, got Jordan Love, got Bryce Young, that's not Trey Lance, that's CJ Stroud and Anthony Richardson, followed by could end up being good enough tier with Brock Purdy, Mac Jones, and Kenny Pickett. That tier right there is insane. I don't know how I feel about any of those guys. Truly, the Brock Purdy hype, I just never understood it. Just never got it at all. But that just shout out to Shanahan, great coach. Then we got 4 more tiers. We got could there be something here? ... Maybe. And we got Trey Lance. And is that my guy Will Levis? I think that's Will Levis right there.
I think so.
Yep, with sporting the Kentucky jersey. Then we got my boy Baker Mayfield in a tier with Zach Wilson that says, show me even the smallest thing, and I'll get ready to be hurt again. And that's where I am with this. If Baker has a great game, I'm going to be through the roof. But like they said, show me the smallest thing and I'll get hurt again. We got the last 2 tiers, which is young with middling potential, that's features Sam Howell.
I don't even think they need to even know that one.
We got Hendon Hooker, Desmond
Ain't not even worth our time.
Davis Mills, and I couldn't even tell you who this last man is down here. Oh, that's the guy for the Panthers last year. That's from Ole Miss. We don't know his name, which is why he's by himself. And then the last tier is I Am Not Moved, featuring Sam Darnold, Carson Wentz, who's looking for a job, Matt Ryan, looking for a job, Andy Dalton, Taylor Heineke, and my boy Kyle Trask. So looking at that one, you know,
that's right.
It's pretty accurate, but you know, it's meant to be something that's kind of funny while also being true. I feel like I kind of have, you know, I have a hard time saying that Jalen Hurts isn't a franchise quarterback. I know 1 year, but like, man, if anything,
1 year was special.
Yeah, that was something else, man. To see and he's in a position with a team, a city that's gonna really rally behind him. If Jalen Hurts ain't a franchise quarterback, they're gonna make him one. You know, I have a hard time. I think that's
he's already paid like one. So.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, right. So I think you know, definitely Pat needs to be he's got to be in a tier of his own. You know, Aaron Rodgers is obviously a franchise quarterback. He's on his way out. You know, talented with question marks. And I'm not too mad about that one. I think this one's pretty decent. I might slow my roll with the young high potential, just because, you know, I like Fields there. I understand Bryce. I understand CJ Stroud. Jordan Love, Anthony Richardson. I mean, what I've been seeing from Jordan Love looks all right. And Anthony Richardson says as well. But I like to slow my roll with rookie quarterbacks, but I hope all of them succeed. And then, yeah, I mean, aside from that, you know, the I Am Not Moved is great. It's awesome to see a Bucs quarterback on there.
Hilarious.
You know, it's not looking too good for us. And then there's one other post that we will look at. Oh, wait, hold on. Let me pull that thing up as well. Another tweet. This one's a little bit more serious. So it's got rated by coaches and executives. They got them in tiers. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 tiers, ranking all 30 quarterbacks. So we got tier 1, Pat Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers, and Justin Herbert. Tier 2, Jalen Hurts, Lamar, Trevor Lawrence, Dak, Matt Stafford, Deshaun Watson, Kirk Cousins. Tier 3, we got Kyler, Derek Carr, Goff, Russell Wilson, Tua, Jimmy G, Danny Dimes, Geno Smith, Justin Fields, Ryan Tannehill, Mac Jones. And then the last one, tier 4, with Brock Purdy, Kenny Pickett, Jordan Love, Baker Mayfield, Sam Howell, Desmond Ridder, and Gardner Minshew, rounding it out. So we look at that, and there's one thing that stands out to me, and I think you feel the same way. We see Jalen Hurts and Justin Herbert. That's been a battle, especially in our group chat now. So I'm gonna ask you, because the group chat needs to know, and I think a lot of other people have thoughts as well. If you're building a franchise, all things equal, talent, staff, stability, Hurts or Herbert. We have the list, both have Hurts under Herbert, but what are your thoughts?
It's a tough one, I'm gonna be honest. Both young guys. There's some that say Herbert hasn't proven himself enough yet. There's some that think Hurts might just be a one-year wonder. I don't necessarily agree with any of those, but they're both like really talented franchise level QBs. Hurts is obviously already found great success taking his team to the Super Bowl last year. I think he'll be right back there, with a chance to go there and win it again. So honestly, I might have to go with Hurts, especially with just what he can do with his legs outside of the pocket. I just think he just brings so much at that quarterback position, especially leadership-wise. I think I would go with Herbert as the better pure passer, but, in terms of, she needed a lot more in the NFL at the quarterback position than just being a great pure passer. And, I think Hurts has already shown to be a great leader, great teammate, hard worker, and he's already proven he can take your team to the Super Bowl. Nobody's harder on the Eagles than me about their cupcake schedule. You can only play who you play, but you can't control who you play, but you can control how you play. And Hurts, played out his mind this year. Got no reason to see why he won't get better. But Herbert's still a great player too. Them being 5 and 6, I think it's interchangeable. You could, whichever one you don't want, I'll take, and I'll be happy with it.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm right with you on that, man. I think from a pure quarterback, pure passer standpoint, like you said, Justin Herbert's probably got the edge. But there's just so much more, like you said, the intangibles, the leadership ability, the aura that surrounds Jalen Hurts is just it's amazing. What I'm saying? He's really a guy that you can rally behind. I mean, he won games by himself. He made plays. He elevated the team around him. I mean, I don't think anybody expected the year that he had. And I understand, there's the pundits that'll be like, oh, it was just 1 year. But I mean, Justin Herbert's been in the year for 2 years. I mean, been in the league for 2 years, So, I mean, I think when you look at them, like you said, I think they are interchangeable. I think all things considered, I would, if I was starting a team, I feel like it would be hard for me to not want to put Jalen Hurts at the helm. Like if I can build a perfect roster and give, both of them a bona fide wide receiver 1, a line, a run game, whatever. Or if I just, I feel like if I put Justin Herbert on the Eagles, is it the same? Do the Eagles still make it to the Super Bowl? I don't know. I feel like a lot of that is attributed to Jalen Hurts and the fact that he has done that. I think that alone, despite, like you said, the schedule, despite the fact that the Eagles are just a better team, I think I would still give the edge to Hurts. And I think it's more so because of the things that don't necessarily happen on the field. I think the story, I think, who he is, the way he carries himself. And that's not to say Justin Herbert isn't, he's a great guy off the field as well. We don't have no problems. Don't hear anything about him. Great leader, same deal. But I'm gonna go with my man Hurts, man. I think I'm not mad at them being, I feel like they probably would be tied for 5 to me. I feel like they would both be tier 1 if I had to give them both a tier. Bona fide guys that are just, you build your franchise around it. The Eagles have already made that investment, as we can see. So that shows they agree with us as well. So I think, you can't go wrong with either, but for the sake of the pod, I'll go with Hurts.
Yeah, Walt is going to hate us for that one.
I know. Walt, everybody Walt threw that in there because, Walt Walt leans to the other side. Walt might mess around and pop up and just discuss that one. But we'll get Walt's thoughts on that. You have any other thoughts on the list? I feel like Baker Mayfield might be a little higher,
Oh man, he could probably be. I think I would have moved him in the one that had the "I am not moved" here. I would move him to that one because I am never moved. But honestly, I think these are pretty accurate.
How you feel about Dak? Could be franchise level.
Yeah, could be. Could be. And he's paid like one. But,
yeah, for your sake, my man, let's hope that
he don't act like it all the time. But
All right, so that's gonna wrap up episode 1 of season 3. We looked at the quarterback debate. We looked at the NFC South. We looked at the NFC East. We talked about the running back stage, the off season. We let y'all know, the boys are back. Y'all don't understand. Y'all can hear it. I'm a little bit under the weather, but the pod, man, I'm at work all day, and that's all I'm thinking about. I'm doing my notes when I'm supposed to be doing work. So yeah. I'm glad we were able to get it back on this thing, get it back running. We've been talking about it for a minute. It's been a while, but season 3, we back. Stay with us. I appreciate y'all for being patient, and all y'all that's going to join us, all the people that are new, welcome to 2 for 2. Next week, we'll be back with another 2. We're going to finish off the NFC. We're going to do NFC North, followed by the NFC West. So if your teams are one of those 2 divisions, that's definitely going to be the episode for you. We'll also look at the NFL Top 100. That's been having a lot of people going crazy, as well as Hard Knocks will have premiered by then. So we'll probably look at that a little bit, featuring the Jets and Aaron Rodgers, even though they swore up and down they weren't going to do it. The NFL made them do it. They got my boy Sauce on there, Garrett Wilson, Aaron Rodgers. Everybody's behind the Jets. So we're going to see what we got going on. Nelly, you got anything to lead the people with as we close this thing out?
Man, it's good to be back. It's good to be on with you, Brother Quis. Fun episode. Definitely look forward to more. We'll keep getting better and better. Got some fun things coming throughout the year. Definitely. Be on the lookout for all that. Twitter, IG, 2 for 2. We here. We back, baby.
Yes, sir. We back. Follow the socials. He just said it. 2 for 2 pod. You got Twitter, Instagram, TikTok on the way. I just keep rocking with us, keep supporting. We appreciate y'all. And with that, 2 for 2, we out.